Hey guys, it's Kim from Honey Trail Farm, and today I need to plant peonies. So here's a little backstory. Last year I invested in lots of bulbs, lots of which I was very happy with, some of which I wasn't. I invested in tons of beautiful frilly daffodils. One of my favorite spring flowers is daffodils, so these were the fancy ones. I can't remember exactly the varieties. I also invested in lots of tulips, and I found that my market wasn't available when they bloomed. Yes, I can dry store them, which means you can harvest all of your tulips, stick them in the fridge literally without water, pull them out, recut the stems, and rehydrate them. But still, my farmer's market doesn't start till May, and these were blooming in March and April, and I just didn't have the customer base to support how much each stem costs. So I'm moving away from that. This year I'm going to be growing ranunculus and daffodils, both of which can overwinter in my zone because my ranunculus are in the tunnel, and I hear mixed reviews on leaving them in the ground, but I always have to figure it out the hard way or figure it out for myself, so I'm leaving them in the tunnel. But on top of that, I'm also investing this year in a few peony tubers. I invested in these from my wholesaler, but you can also buy them retail if you're not buying in bulk. I bought 150, but I split them with my mom. So you can see the eyes. Here's a good view of them. That is what's gonna shoot up the new growth. And this way, I'm investing in not only beautiful landscape, because inevitably I won't be able to cut every single stem, and then I'll just be left with the stems, poor me, blooming on the plant. But these are long-lived perennials. These are something that I will literally only have to plant one time. I will probably have to plant more than that because I'm gonna invest in them each year. But these are very long-lived perennials, averaging 20 to 30 years, but can live up to 100 if you take care of them. So wherever you put your peonies, you want to make sure that you want them there. Of course you can move them, but that's going to set you back because each time you dig them up and you split them, it takes them a couple years to rebound and give you good stems again. So I think that I'm going to put them, I have a long driveway, and so I'm gonna just line the driveway with them. For one, that'll be beautiful. For two, they're out of the way because they're really only blooming in like May. And I don't wanna delegate bed space to something that's only gonna be a few weeks out of the year. So down the driveway it goes. So I was, just to be completely honest, I'm disappointed. I wanted our pressure washer to do the holes for me because in theory, you're not really disturbing the ground around it, so not many other weeds are growing, so that you can continue to just mow right down the line and not disturb your peony roots. But I don't have a high enough PSI. I saw Sunflower Steve do this with his pressure washer, and he said you needed 3,000 PSI, and I'm like, do you? You do. So now we gotta dig a hole the old-fashioned way. So like I said, I really wanted the trick to work, and I wanted to show you that the trick worked, but it's not, my pressure washer isn't powerful enough, but I do have a trench and a little boy who's gonna help me. So this first variety that I'm planting is called Dr. Flemming. It's a hot pink variety. And all the ones that I bought are doubles because honestly, the only peony in my mind is a double. So I'm not even gonna waste my time with singles. So when you plant your peony root, you can lay it down sideways. You just wanna make sure the eyes are pointing up. And you want your peony to be only about 1.5 to 2 inches below the soil level, because any deeper than that, and it's going to take your peony too much energy and too much time to work its way back up out of the soil. So if you are planting these in your landscape, you can plant them farther apart especially because they're only bloom one time of the year and then they're just green leaves. So if you're looking for beautiful landscapes, you would plant other things around them that would take over once the peonies are done. But since I am just planting them here, I'm gonna space mine really close together. I can plant these as close as 12 inches apart in a farm setting because I'm typically going to take all the stems off the plant anyway, and so it's just going to be leaves after that. So all I'm gonna do is line these up in the trench and then cover them back up with soil, and that's about it. Probably not. I quite literally have the peanut gallery watching me because this cow right here, her name is Peanut. But basically, I guess this is a lesson, and it's not one size fits all. It's not one plan fits all. On the internet, I see all these farms and flower farms, and they plant, you know, tons of tulips. And so I just thought that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And it turns out like it just doesn't work for me. I don't have the market for tulips. Our market doesn't start till later than theirs, and I don't have the customer base right now. Not saying that later I couldn't be into tulips, but right now what's working for me, and also the theme of my farm moving forward, is less time on annuals and more time and resources on perennials, because annuals are pretty fussy. You have to redo them every year. And the benefit of perennials is, yes, you spend the time up front putting them in. The purchasing price of them is more than an annual. Like typically an annuals are just, you know, seeds, super cheap, but they're very labor intensive. And I'm a one-woman band here, and I don't have the time for that. So I think that my time would be better well spent on things that will keep giving back to me, because that's just the phase of life I'm in. Are you helping? The next variety I have is Sorbet, and that's actually a beautiful, fluffy, fun peony. It's got like a fluffy center with petals. I mean, they're all fluffy, but this one looks a little different. The last variety that I laid down right here is, honestly, I'm not even gonna attempt to say it because it's a French word. I'll just put it on the screen with a little picture. All that's left to do now is cover all of these peonies back up with dirt. I feel like a cat. Yeah. So honestly, that did not take any time at all. Planting your perennials in the fall is almost always the best move because they can take the next few weeks to grow some starter roots before winter tucks them in. And there's usually moisture in the ground for winter. We are so dry. So I'm just leaving the hose running, kind of soaking each area, and I'll just move it down every few minutes so that it can get a nice deep water, because with how dry the ground is right now, if I just stood here and watered, it would not be enough water to really water these in deeply. Winter will come and it will tuck everything in for winter, and then as soon as the conditions are right and it starts to warm up in the springtime, your plants can get up and get growing. Whereas when you transplant them in the spring, they don't have much time to settle in before the heat of summer comes, unless you live in a more mild place. And then you just have to babysit them a lot more, which I am not good at. I am not good. I'm a set it and forget it kind of gal. So I might get blooms this spring, just a couple off each plant, or they might just be leaves this first year. More than likely they'll be leaves this first year, but fingers crossed for at least a couple blooms, because that's what we're all here for, right? But by year 3, so by spring of 2026, these bad boys will be cranking, and definitely by 2027 they will be. So this video was short and sweet, but if you needed the motivation to get your peonies or whatever your fall perennials are in the ground, get out there, get whatever you've been putting off, just do it. I'm really talking to myself here because I'm really good about that. But thank you guys for watching. Until next time.